بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 293. These days we are discussing chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, or the cow, verse 97. And we're looking at the meanings of the words of this verse of the Holy Quran. And this is the 7th broadcast in that sub-series. Just to remind you that these broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rahmatullah Alayh, the promised Messiah and Mahdi. And he taught that although Muslims want to bring either another new or an old prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that by saying, La Nabi Abadi, there is no prophet after me. So now no prophet can appear, whether an old one or a new one. However, the Holy Prophet also said that when there is a need for reform, God will appoint reformers, Mujaddadeen, who will call for reform of Muslims' beliefs or their actions, etc. Naturally, an attempt at reform will lead to disagreement. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw this. And while calling a difference of opinion amongst Muslims a blessing, he also warned that people are keen to start calling each other kafirs and this and that and heretics. But he said, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said, that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are a kafir, a heretic out of Islam, then it is the person saying it who's the heretic. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib also taught us that although people say some parts of prophetic revelation were missed out from the Holy Quran, such as Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat, but this is wrong. God said that He revealed the Holy Quran and He shall guard it. So nothing can be missing from it. God is its protector. And also people say that verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated. Some people say up to over 500 verses have been abrogated. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, and Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali, they proved that no verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also said that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. But jihad is defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who, when returning from fighting, said, "From the minor jihad, we now return to the major jihad." And then explained that the major jihad is a struggle to control your own desires and emotions, especially wrongdoing for popularity or gain. And every Muslim is duty bound to conduct this 24 hours a day. Fight with our souls, our inner selves, to try and be better people. Okay, let us now go to the verse of the Holy Quran that we're talking about. Chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, or the cow, verse 97. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل من كان عدوا لجبريل فإنه نزله على قلبك بإذن الله مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. Say, whoever is an enemy to Gabriel, for surely he revealed it to your heart by Allah's command, verifying that which is before it, and a guidance and glad tidings for the believers. So today we will look at these two words, Yadai and Hudan. And I hope that the next broadcast we'll be able to complete the consideration of words of this chapter. Okay, so let us go to the computer. The first word, its triliteral root is Ya, Dal, Ya. And it occurs in the Holy Quran 120 times. And its basic meaning we know is hand. But it's used, metaphorically used in many different ways. It's no different from English, is it? We say, he held up his hand. So what does that mean? That he's going around like this? No, it doesn't. It means that he admitted to something, whatever it was he'd done. And this is the same in Arabic. It's just that there are a lot more meanings. So, chapter 5, verse 11, the Holy Quran says, Is humma qawmun an yabsutu ilaykum aydiyahum fakaffa aydiyahum ankum. When a party decided that they'll raise their hands on you, and he stopped their hands. Obviously, it means that someone wanted to attack another group, and God stopped them. So it can also mean to control something so that you can let go of it. In chapter 2, verse 237, the Holy Quran says, Illa an ya'funa aw ya'fuwallazi biyadihi aqdatu nikah. But if women let go of their meher, so, but then, or men who have in their hand the marital contract. So it could be literal that they've got the marital contract in their hand, but it also means that it is in the man's hand to pay the meher. Just to remind you that at the time of marriage, a man is required to settle a part of his property on the woman. It becomes the woman's property. And they can negotiate, and it can be anything. I remember when we first came to the UK, people used to say, well, this is not very romantic, that, you are haggling over the terms of the marital contract. And I simply now ask, what are prenups? Why are people getting prenups? That if we get divorced, I'll get this and you'll get that, and so on. And it's the same thing. It's just that the West has come to this realization after a lot of suffering. Anyway, the same word is used to mean a miser, someone who's mean, who doesn't like parting with his possessions. And referring to God in chapter 5, verse 64, the Holy Quran says, Baqalatil Yahudu Yadullahi Maghlulatun Hullat Aydihim Waluqinu Bima Qalu Bal Yadahu Mabsu Bogdan. Chapter 5, verse 64. Sorry, I appear to be losing my voice. And the Jew says that God's hand is tied to his neck, or God's hand is tied, meaning that he is a miser. And it then says their hands will be tied, because God, his hands are open. That means He's generous. He gives. I mean, if we take the qualities Rahman and Rahim, God gives us millions of, trillions of good things without our deserving them. What did we do to deserve sunshine, clean air, clean water, and thousands upon thousands of other things? Nothing. And yet, whether you believe in a God or not, whether you abuse him or not, whatever, he doesn't deprive a person because that person is not a Muslim. He doesn't shut the tap off and say, no more fresh air for you, mate. No more clean water for you. You're not a Muslim. As human beings do. Of any human beings of any religion. I'm a Muslim, I'm using that as an example. But in many places, there are people belonging to other religions who say the same thing. In Israel, Jews say the same thing to Muslims, to Palestinians. When corona vaccination was invented and it was made available, they said, well, we're not going to give Arabs any of this vaccination. I guess they were hoping that Arabs will contract COVID-19 in greater numbers and die and make the Israelis' job easy for them. But anyway, we digress. In the same way, ayyada is used in the Holy Quran to mean help someone. And we see this in English as well, don't we? You're doing something and it's hard going, and some relative or friend comes, and or even strangers, you're trying to push a car and you're having a hard job, and you say to a stranger, excuse me, mate, give us a hand with this. And it's exactly the same thing. Ayyadtuka biruhil qudus. When I help you with the Holy Spirit. And it's also used to mean falsehood. فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابَ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ, chapter 2, verse 79. It is sad that they just make up things and write them with their hands. And Aidin, again, hand, but it also means majesty, power, strength. The Holy Quran says, Ulil Aidi wal Absar, chapter 38, verse 45. Those who had power, in fact, it literally means those who had hand and eyes, but it's actually referring to those who had power and foresight. In chapter 38, verse 17, Holy Quran says, Wazkur Abdana Davuda Zal Aid. Remember my servant David. He was a mighty person. It can also mean a gift. Hatta ya'tul jizyata an yadim wa hum saghirun. Until they are brought low and with their own hands, they gave jizya. Here, ayyadin can also mean the favor, the blessing that these people will get by getting safety and security in their own homes. So, and God says that God uses the word to mean his support and help. And awliya Allah, or friends of Allah, are also called Aidillah, hands of Allah. Why? Because in chapter 48, verse 10, referring to the bath that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took, the Holy Quran says, Inna allazina yubayi'unaka innama yubayi'una allaha yadullahi fawqa aydihim. Those who take your bath, those who are swearing the oath of allegiance on your hands, God's hand is on their hand. So here God is saying that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hand is God's hand. And those who are taking the oath are actually, oath of allegiance, are doing it on God's hand. And there is a hadith, and that says, I was going to say something else, but I changed my mind. But there's a hadith where it is said that by extra prayers, by extra devotions, a servant becomes near to me, and he becomes dear to me. And then when he becomes dear to me, then I hear with his ears, and I see with his eyes. And I am the hand with which he grasps something. It's a disputed hadith, but I'm relating it here to make a point. Chapter 36, verse 71. Mimma amilat aidina. The things that we made with our own hands. Obviously, God doesn't have hands with which, like we do. Elsewhere, the Holy Quran says, he says, happen, and it happens. So why does he need hands? Obviously, it's a metaphorical use. Lima khalaqtu biyadayya. I made this person with my own hands. So again, this is not literal. It's also used for people who are skilled in something. It's also used for to show regret. وَلَمَّا سُقِطَ فِي أَيْدِيهِمْ. And when they regretted, literally, they wrung their hands, or rubbed their hands. So it is, people say, a sign of regret. In many languages, this proverb, this term is used for this. And one last example is chapter 14, verse 9. فَرَدُّوا أَيْدِيَهُمْ فِي أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. And they put their hands over their mouths, not their own, the Prophet's mouths. And there are two interpretations. One is that they didn't want to hear the truth, because then they didn't want to accept it, so they put their hands on the Prophet's mouth. And the other one is that they threw the Prophet's words back on their faces, meaning that they did not accept the teaching, the guidance that they had brought. So here some people say that aidihim means rewards, blessings. So these people humiliated and insulted the prophets by throwing these things in their face, and that is rejecting their teaching. Okay, the next word, huda, is easy in a way, and its root is ha, dal, ya, and it occurs 316 times in the Holy Quran as 12 different words. So 12 different words made up with these occur in the Holy Quran. 144 times there's the verb hada, and 85 times the noun hudan, and 40 times ahtada, or ihtada, really, 40 times, and then 17 times muhtadun, and then 7 times as had, and 7 times as hudi, and 7 times as akhda, and so on. And it can be verb to guide, as in Surah Fatih, chapter 1, verse 6. Ihtina siratal mustaqim, guide us. So this is the doing word. You're asking God to do something. And then in chapter 2, verse 26, God says, Yudillu bihi kasiran wa yahdi bihi kasiran wa ma yudillu bihi illa al-fasiqin. He guides. And again, قُلْ لِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. He guides. So this is the verbal use, doing something, doing the guiding. But then the same word is also used as a noun, guidance, or guide, as in person who guides. I'm trying to look for example. Here we are. Noun. Chapter 4, verse 51. Let's see what that says. Ha'ulai akhdaya minallazina amanu sabila. Better guided. So that's a noun, someone who's better guided. Aw taqulu law anna unzila alayna al-kitabu lakunna akhdaya minhum. Better guided. In other places, it's better guidance. Be akhdaya, better guidance. Then another noun is made from this, and this refers to the sacrificial animal, as in chapter 2, verse 196. فَإِنْ أُخْثِرْتُمْ فَمَسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ, an animal for sacrifice. So that is obviously a noun. And the Holy Quran uses this word many times as offering as well, offering or a gift as well. And then noun in the sense of guidance, who la raiba fi hudallil muttaqin, a guidance, right at the very beginning of the Holy Quran, chapter 2. Qul inna hudallahi, Allah's, of the guidance. And of course, it's used for, I'm looking for an example, a guide. Here we are, a gift. Wa inni mursilatun ilayhim bihadiyah. Now, hadiyah is also a word of Urdu. So when you go and purchase a copy of the Holy Quran, they say, they don't say what's the price, they say what's the hadiyah. I'm gifting you this money, because the Holy Quran is regarded as being priceless. So he's doing you a favor and you're giving him a gift in return as thanks. Okay, as I said, it also means guide, etc. And with that, I take my leave of you with the prayer that wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Tomorrow is Friday. So at 1:00, we'll have the Friday khutbah, Friday service. And then on Saturday, we'll be broadcasting on the WhatsApp group Pure Discussions. And then, of course, next week, we'll go back to these broadcasts. And as I said, in the meantime, with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.